Hello, Paul Winston here. I thought I'd try and answer a question I get asked quite a lot, particularly from musicians who maybe don't write for large ensembles, is how do you write for orchestra? Which is such a loaded question and such a difficult one to answer. So it's worth saying this is my way and not necessarily the way that everybody does it. Just putting that to one side, it's worth saying that I'm an improviser, so I have these two kind of worlds, because when I improvise, 1 minute of music takes 1 minute. But if you're writing for a symphony orchestra, 1 minute of music, even if you have a melodic idea, can take hours and hours, weeks to orchestrate to get that 1 minute. So this is just my way. And with me having that in my toolbox, being able to improvise, it does mean that the process is a little bit quicker for me because I'm an improviser, and there is only the now when you're improvising. So bear that in mind when I talk a little bit more about this. So the first thing, of course, is the most mystical thing of all is where does an idea come from? And that's something that's almost impossible, is impossible to answer. David Bohm, the great quantum physicist, said, it's a bit like putting your aerial up on your radio to receive a FM or AM signal, and you just wait. And I know the famous American songwriter John Mayer said he doesn't get writer's block because he doesn't write until he's ready, until it's there for him to come. And I think that's pretty much me as well. I tend not to write. Recently I wrote 4 pieces pretty quickly, and that's kind of, I haven't come back to the piano recently since then, in as far as composing is concerned. So it's very hard to describe this mystical experience. But I mean, I can give you an example as far as orchestral music is concerned. About 2 months ago, I had an idea for an orchestral piece, which was a specific idea that I was going to write. But then I started writing it, and it was very apparent then that it was something completely different, that it had changed into something else, and it's actually here now. I saw within it so many other melodic possibilities, so many other variations, that I could see the grandness of the work, and I could see a work that was not 8 minutes, but maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes. I don't know yet. We'll find out. Some of my friends are composers, plan everything out. They plan where things are going to happen. They work out where these things will return and where new melodies will arise or where they won't. That's not my way. I only work in the moment. I start a piece. Sometimes I might have written the ending. Sometimes I have an idea of what the ending is, particularly with my second symphony. I had an idea what the ending was, and I had to kind of trace my way back, if you like, to the start. But generally, I just start, and then one idea forms from another. I'm not a composer that writes to order. Some composers get up and they write at 9:30 and they finish for lunch. I don't have time for that. I'm busy, a busy father, and I have a busy family life, a busy life as a musician, doing lots of other playing and things. So I suppose I'm a part-time orchestral composer in many respects. So I do it as and when I feel fit, and I tend to work very fast. Once I start, then it happens very fast. You can never tell quite when these ideas are going to come. Sometimes you dream them, and sometimes they just come to you on a walk, or sometimes they just come to you because you're playing something at the piano, or sometimes you're playing something and you play something wrong on the music, and that inspires another idea. I've had times where my students have played something wrong, and that has given me an idea. So you can never kind of tell. I remember my great friend Bill King, a teacher, saying once that he had this idea and he kept dreaming it. So he woke up in the middle of the night and wrote it down, and then he hoped it would just go away, stop haunting him. So that's the mystical experience. It's very, very hard to quantify or put any words to. Our minds are limited, so it's very hard to explain that mystical, magical, creative, imaginal experience. But anyway, what I can explain is, so once I have an idea, I tend to notate it down, often in what you might call short score, so like 2 staves. Sometimes I use 3 staves, 2 trebles and a bass, sometimes 4, 2 basses and 2 trebles. And I'll make notes that that's going to be for the flute, that's going to be for the clarinet, and so on. So that's one way I tend to work. And this is important at this point, particularly if you're a pianist, that you do find some students that I help with composition, they can write orchestral music that's quite pianistic, with lots of left-hand patterns. So you be mindful of that, breaking away from that and understanding how to write for the instrument is very, very important. So once I have an idea, I start to sketch it out. As I say, I'll generally use, sometimes I use tiny A5. So I suppose I might be a bit old-fashioned, I don't know, but I use manuscript paper to write it out. So I start writing the ideas, just jotting them down. It might be quite chaotic, the piece of paper. It just might have notes all over the place for different things that are happening and going on. And then I might try and put that into a bit of order and form it, and then I'll start to, so you can see here, I start to write it out fully, orchestrate it, and then pretty quickly I use a computer program called Sibelius to put it so it looks legible, and then I can send that to my publisher for publishing later on. But one little secret that I'm going to tell you now is that because I'm an improviser, let's say I've wrote a nice string passage and I want to put an oboe melody over the top, so a solo section. Sometimes I'll write that oboe melody, but because I have a keyboard and a piano connected to my computer, I'll often improvise an oboe melody because it'll be far more exciting because I'm an improviser, and then I'll just tweak that melody after that. So that's something maybe I just do, I don't know, maybe other people do it as well. And then of course, after you've fully, I start to put it on Sibelius and make, the second symphony was about 100 odd revisions, so you keep going back, keep tuning it, fine tuning it, editing out all the mistakes that you make. And then sometimes, you go to rehearsals and then you hear a piece. I remember one of my pieces called Airedale Seasons. So there with Airedale Seasons, that's a performance. It's been performed a few times. That's a recent one. Sometimes at rehearsal I may make some changes. Players tell you things, and you also take that on board as well, because the players know best. They know the instrument the best. And then once you've prepared the score on Sibelius, you then what's called extract the parts. So you've got to write all the parts out. Of course, long ago the parts, Bill, my old teacher, would have written them out. He'd just written them out by hand. But Sibelius really quickens up the process of that. So, and then it's finished. And my second symphony I started, and then after about 9 or 10 months I didn't like it, so I just destroyed it. Not quite as grand as Sibelius destroying the 8th symphony, but I didn't throw it on the fire, but I just didn't think it was very good. And then another piece that started I could see was the germ of the seed of the second symphony, and then it took me about 2 years to write the second symphony. And I'm now working on another big orchestral piece, which I've written a few minutes of and orchestrated. So there you go, there's a few ideas, and as you've seen, as I've talked through this video, you've seen some of them on the screen as well, so you can see what they look like and sound like as well. So thanks for watching, subscribe for more videos, bye for now.